What the Sigma, guys? I don't know. Are we allowed to say what the Sigma anymore? I asked my close friend Story and no one responded. So I feel like that is my answer, but I'm just sending out a plea to the ether. I tried to dress on theme. Um this was like my most whimsical like 2000s it girl shirt. Uh Look, let's just say my aesthetic does not fit this genre. Guys, I'm trying with the goth, please. I'm trying to be goth. I'm trying so hard. And it's really hard when you're just a casual cool guy to be goth. Ah! Anyway, today we're talking about Uptown Girls. I thought I would do something different. I told everyone in the last video I was feeling kind of inspired. I wasn't expecting to do the next video on this kind of like a genre of film, but I was just kind of like, I really want to watch Uptown Girls. And then when I started it, I was like, oh my gosh, this movie does not get half as much of the attention that it deserves. I know that on TikTok it's like a very popular, like a lot of sounds have trended, and I know that there was like a very popular time for people to be doing the trend where they're on the teacups, but I don't think people actually talk about the content of the film that much. It's a very wonderful, beautiful film, and I think it needs to have its time in the sun. It needs to have a little bit more attention put on it. And when I did do a cursory YouTube search for it, I only saw one other video, and it was a video essay. So I just wanted to do a review, a recap, and just put my little 2 cents on it. And yeah, if you haven't seen Uptown Girls, I think it's an amazing film, and I hope that this might convince you to watch it because Brittany Murphy is a gift, and I love her. This movie really is the embodiment of Girls So Confusing, but like it's about a child and an adult, which is like absolutely not what Girls So Confusing is about, but I feel like the spirit of it is there. Yeah, I don't know if you like me. Sometimes I think I might hate you. Sometimes I think you might hate me. Maybe you just want to be me. Big, big, big. I'm just saying the similarities between Girls So Confusing and Uptown Girls. I see them. Not to diverge myself too far off the track, because really we're here to be talking about the cinematic masterpiece that is Uptown Girls. Also, a crime that Uptown Girl by Billy Joel, by one William Joel, was not played. Theater music for dads. Where was Uptown Girl? We start off the movie with little baby Dakota Johnson. Whoa, but Madam Web, she's not in this movie actually. That would be insane if she was. I would actually live for that. She's getting a vision. So we get some exposition from little baby Dakota Fanning, and she is serving it. She is telling it like it's a fairy tale. And it's very much like this child immediately, you're like, should not be telling this fairy tale story. But she is, because she has that maturity difference. You know what I mean? It's very brilliant. It's very brilliant. So she's doing the exposition. She's giving like, this girl is living a fairy tale. Her parents both died tragically, and now she's set for life. She's basically a princess of modern day New York. Then this aptly transitions to the song Charmed Life, which is just very much, they hit it right on the nose. They said, I'm telling you exactly what's going on. And it's Brittany Murphy's character, Molly Gunn. She is getting ready for her 22nd birthday party, I believe, and she is just living it up. She's like in a penthouse. It's very much like bohemian, but she's rich. you know, there's messes going around. She's messy. It's just so quirky, and she's just a manic pixie dream girl, kind of very essential 2000s kind of a girl. And she has money in the freezer. I like, and that freezer is nasty bones. Like, it needs to be scraped down. Why does she not have a maid service? I don't understand. Anyway, I love that there's money in the freezer. It's very much like, yes, this girl is does not have her life together. She doesn't know how to be an adult. She doesn't have money in the bank. Me neither, girly. Me neither. Different reasons. You know, she's just like in this arrested development part of her life. She's like partying, she's staying up really late, she's sleeping in really late, and she's getting up at like, I don't know what time it is, like 9 p.m. And she's like, oh my God, I took a nap and I couldn't wake up. It was just such a good nap. It's like, girl, we know you got up at like 12 and then you went back to sleep at like 1. We get it. But she's also really kind and generous, where like there's like a bunch of flowers in her hallway for her birthday because like her parents were famous rock stars and people love her and she's beloved. And her neighbor's like, oh, you better get these out of the hallway. It's a fire violation. And she's like, give these to your wife, sir. And then like downstairs there's like a bunch of presents, and she's like, give these to the Salvation Army, sir. I don't need these material items. And it's like, okay, girl, we see you. We see you. You're generous. You're a diva. And we love that. And I think it's just because of like how well she was treated growing up, how much love she received growing up from other people, which I think is going to juxtaposition, obviously, with Dakota Fanning's character. Girlie steps out into the middle of the street and just almost gets hit by a car. It does not even faze her. She's like, whistles for the taxi, and she's like, this is my main character moment. She is the main character of life. She is the manic pixie dream girl of life. Then we get to the party and we meet her like very type A friend who's like very like, you can tell is kind of like momager vibes, and like she's in control of Molly's life basically, and like, where were you? We were waiting for you, blah blah blah. And then we also meet Huey, who's like more carefree, but like he's in the music industry. He works for this like producer, and he's definitely like just kind of like very much like the guy era of of the 2000s. At the party, someone is like, oh, you have like a face wrinkle, like, have you looked into getting Botox, blah blah blah. This girl is 22 years old. What the flip? What the hell? Brittany Murphy goes to the bathroom. Brittany Murphy. Molly goes to the bathroom. She's having like a mental breakdown. She's like, am I old? Oh my God. And then Dakota Fanning enters from the bathroom stall. She's dressed like a middle-aged woman. She has her like bob all even. She's got that fuck ass bob, that mom bob. And she immediately is like, diva central. She has her own soap that she brought. Me too, girl. Me too. I bring my own soap. Yeah. I bring my own lotion. Yeah. And she's responsible, and you can immediately tell this little girl is a precocious little girl, and she does not have time for this ish. She does not even want to be here at this club. It is not even cool to her. And I'm like, okay, girl, I see you. And then Huey enters the bathroom looking for her, and I'm like, interesting, right. That's, maybe you could have got someone else. But it's fine, it's totally fine. I mean, at least there's all stalls, but it's just like, interesting. But he's basically watching Ray for the night because her mom is there, and he's trying to get her mom to like discover this new artist. So he's like, no distractions. And Ray just has like, it's revealed that Ray just has like no, like, she cannot keep a nanny down. She sends them on their way. She sends them packing. She does not need a nanny. She takes care of herself. The artist goes up, he plays a song. I think his name's like, I don't fucking know, like Sean or something stupid. I don't know. Is it? No, his name is Tommy. Not even close. Not even close at all. His name is Tommy. Um, he's lame as hell. What can I say? He's lame as hell. He plays this stupid ass song. It's not good. Everyone thinks it's good. He gets like noticed by Ray's mom. And Brittany Murphy, Molly Gunn, is just obviously in love with him. She's like, he is tasty. I need him. And then he was like, oh no, like he's celibate. He doesn't do that. He's like Morrissey. And I'm like, girl, Morrissey is celibate for a very different reason. Morrissey let the hate go, let the hate go. You know, maybe the music would be worse, but like Huey literally says he's 100% girly free. He's celibate like Morrissey. He's all about the music, which just the implications of that. This does not deter Molly. No, 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 not at all. She takes this as a challenge. This is even more interesting to her. So she does pretty quickly get him back to her apartment, and then while they're opening the door, he's like, "Are you really Tommy Gunn's daughter?" Like, and she's like, "Hold my purse, girl." And she like picks up his guitar and she starts like whipping it around like she's in color guard. And I'm like, girl, what? Like, how is this proving anything? Like, okay, you can do guitar tricks. Can you play? But she's like, yeah, I did that. And I'm like, okay, girl. You know what? Live your life. You are the manic pixie dream girl here, not me. So I'm clearly out of my element. But then the guy, he starts singing the song that her dad wrote for her, and it's like very clearly like a very special song, and like he's being very tone deaf in this moment. He's like singing at her. He's like, "Oh, ha ha ha, like you're blah blah blah, my baby girl, I love you." And she's like, "Don't sing that." No, because why are you singing that? Don't sing that. And I'm like, same girl, because that was kind of weird. That was kind of out of nowhere. If he's trying to seduce you, that's odd. That's some odd shit. And like maybe just like take a temperature check before you do that. But like it's fine. They move past it and like cut to sunrise, and he's like, "Yeah, like I'm sober and like I've cut off all of my worldly attachments so that I can be famous." And it's like, okay, similar to those guys in Jennifer's Body vibes. And like Molly's just like looking at him like, Pez. She's like, Pez, Pez. She's like not even listening to him. And then they kiss. More things probably happen, I'm sure, but like it cuts to an indeterminate amount of time later, and she's just like out of her mind, just like brain dead bored by him. She's like, now that I have him, he's actually literally the most boring guy I've ever been with. Please get out of my fucking apartment. You need to go. Bye bye. And then he says, you know what? Yeah, I do need to go. Oh, looks like I've been spending way too much time with you, girl. I cannot keep. And she's like, wait, no, actually, stay. Have some self respect, girl. You wanted him to leave just moments ago. This guy, he has the audacity to be like, this place is suffocating. I need to get back to the real world, which like brings up the main conflict, which is like Molly is kind of living in this like Arrested Development in like this contained fantasy world. Like she doesn't really have a life, and it's just like, you know, that is the main crux of the story. And like after another indeterminate amount of time, her friend Ingrid comes and she's like, oh my god, like he said all of these things about me. And Ingrid is like, and she's like, oh my god, you're supposed to say like that's not true, blah blah blah. And she's like, well, girl, it is true. And while they're having this conversation, Ingrid is like looking at her mail and she's like, girl, your water is shut off, your power is shut off, your phone isn't working, what's going on? And then it's like cut to they're in like a lawyer's office and he's like, hey, so this guy like scammed your family out of a bunch of money, and you're basically broke now. Sorry, nothing you can really do about it. And she's like, what the sigma? But Ingrid is like, you know what, you got this, girly, I'm gonna help you get a job. And she gets her like this job at like a fancy like sheet store. I don't really know how there's like a huge market for that, but I guess I just don't live in rich people world, so I'm just gonna assume that that's a thing. She gets the job, immediately spends her paycheck on sheets. Right. And then she gives those sheets to that guy. What the fuck is his name? Tommy. No. Sean. No, Tommy. His name is Tommy. I remembered. Girl, those are your sheets. And she's like, I got these for you. They're Egyptian cotton. And he's like, okay, thanks, girl. Like, I can't have you in my life. And then, they fall back into the like cycle. I hate this guy. I hate him. I really don't understand the direction they take him in, because I truly, like, he is repulsive, annoying, boring, rude, hate. So she like stays up all night with this guy, and then the next day at work she like falls asleep on a bed, and obviously she gets fired. She still has this mindset of like, abundance is going to come to me. I don't need to chase because I attract. But luckily Huey comes through, and as it was set up earlier in the film, Ray needs a nanny. She goes through nannies like they're candy, and she needs to be taken care of by somebody who can be responsible and a good influence on her. And of course, Molly is none of those things, but like, really, she is. She's gonna change her life, and Ray is gonna change hers, and it's gonna be everything. But it gets off to a bad start. Molly is late. She's drinking like fruit punch, which Ray is like disdainful of. Like, I'm sure she only wants to drink sparkling water. She like wants like only Perrier. And we are also introduced to this like mysterious man who is in a hospital bed in like the study or like the library of this house, who we're assuming at this point is Ray's father. But it's like very quickly like the door is shut, and Ray is like, get out of here, diva. I don't know why I keep saying diva. I'm in a diva mood. But then we see Ray's room, which is like very meticulous, like all of her dolls, all her Barbies and stuff, and her like toy little like tea set is like very like organized. Like, you can tell this girl does not really play. It's like very clear at this point, like Molly is probably one of the only nannies, or one of the only people honestly, that like pushes back against Ray, doesn't give her like the exact thing that she wants. And it like all comes to a head when they're like cleaning dishes. Like, Ray doesn't trust the cleaning ladies to clean the dishes, and Molly's just like, I can't do this anymore. And they're like fighting over a dish, and it breaks. And she goes to leave, and Ray's like, you get back here. And Molly's like, no, girl, I'm leaving. Your mom employs me. And then Ray is like, look around. Do you see anyone here? It's that like famous TikTok sound.
Take a look around. Do you see her anywhere? News flash. You're not gonna.
This little girl is everything. This little girl is so brat. This girl is so Charlie XCX brat. So Molly does leave, but when she gets back to her apartment, she is locked out. Her little teacup pig, which I have not mentioned before because it's really not important to me, the teacup pig, but it's very important to her. Her little teacup pig pet is locked outside, like tied to the door handle. And she's basically been evicted because she obviously cannot pay for this apartment. So instead of going somewhere like normal, Molly goes to her situationship's house. Right. The guy that wants nothing to do with you. She's like ringing his doorbell. She's like, let me in, please. I know you're in there. And he's just like watching her from above in the dark, in the shadows. Like, ew. I hate him. Ah. X out on him, this little bitch. God. Anyway, so she finally goes somewhere normal. She goes to Ingrid's house, and Ingrid's like, yes, you can stay here, but you need to come up with half the rent. Maybe it's hitting a little too close to home right now, but I was like, damn, girl, like, let her breathe a second. She is going through something. Like, please, a little compassion, please. But I get it. She's like spoiled, whatever. She's trying to help her. Whatever. Some of us didn't grow up spoiled. Some of us are having a hard time. So it's back to nannying. She crawls back to Ray, and Ray is like, you're on probation, girl. This little girl. She's a businesswoman. She's running a household. Molly picks up Ray from a dance class, and Ray is like leaving early before the end of class because like she does not want to participate in free dance. That is not fun for her. That is juvenile for this 8-year-old girl. She said, I am anti-child. I don't want to be here. And Molly like tries to get her to open up a little bit on the walk home, but Ray is like defensive about it and like flips her off. And then this scene is actually, I think, a really important scene and like really pivotal to the direction of both characters. Like Molly grabs Ray's hand, and she grabs like the little, like the flipping off, and she like closes her fist around it, and she's like, take that back. And Ray's like, ow, you're hurting me. Like, and she's like expecting like Molly to like drop it because like that's just, she's used to getting her way. And Molly like doesn't get deterred by this. She like pushes back. She's like, well, you hurt me. You hurt my feelings. So take it back. And that kind of like, Ray just kind of like, whoa. Never even thought of that. Like, you can just tell she just never even thought about that, the things that she does and says, how it actually affects people, because like she's the little girl, like what she says doesn't feel important enough, but like she's trying so hard to push back at these people. So she does apologize, and Molly's like, good, because I wasn't gonna give you your surprise if you didn't do that. And Ray's like, surprise? I hate surprises. But like you can really tell she's like, what? Surprise? Oh my god. Like she's already getting into this place of being like a kid and like excited, and like she's becoming a little bit of a softer person now, because like she's allowed to do that with Molly, and like Molly is kind of like teaching her how to be a kid immediately when they get back into this little groove together, which I think is just a really sweet moment and just like a very important part of the film. But of course the surprise is just Molly's pig, and she's like, I'm regifting this to you, but I'm not telling you I'm regifting it, but like I'm regifting it because I can't have my pig at Ingrid's house. So like this is going to be a good lesson for you. It's going to help you with your cleanliness thing. Right. Okay, girl. The next day, Molly and Ingrid, definitely Ingrid's idea, were doing a yard sale outside of their building on the New York street block, and I was just like, whoa, I never considered yard sales on a block. Like, that would be so inconvenient. I'm sure that that's like a huge, like, I'm sure it happens all the time in New York. I just like never considered that. So it was just like, okay, interesting. And I don't know. I just thought I'd mention it. It's not really even important. And then like continuing on this like getting rid of stuff to make some money, Molly and Ray are back at Molly's apartment. They let her back in so that she can pick up her dad's stuff. There's like a bunch of her dad's like old guitars and like some family photos, and Molly's having like a really hard time trying to decide what to do with it. And Ray is like, well, you should just sell it. It's more practical. And Molly's like, well, I love my dad's stuff and this means a lot to me and it means a lot to a lot of people. But then Ray's like, well, it's just gonna go into storage like everything else. Like, and she's just kind of like revealing that she tries not to put too much sentimentality on things. But Molly is kind of like, well, I know the man in the library is your dad, which is like, I think her trying to push back against Ray and being like, I know that you care about him, I know you're trying not to be sentimental about him, but it's just kind of like a standoff. But after that, we get a classic montage. Oh, love a montage. And it's just kind of like Molly trying to figure out how to be an adult. And she's just missing the mark every time. She's overflowing public washing machines, and she's just being kind of like frazzled. Again, manic pixie dream girl. That we every film needs a little montage of the manic pixie dream girl, and so that's what we get. Then at the end of the montage, Ray is like beating down on this girl that's like a head taller than her, and Molly's like, no girl, that's not how we do things, like, come back to me, come back to me. And Ray is like, really? Because her old pair called you a old pair? Au pair called you a slut. And then Molly's beating down on this bitch, and then Ray's cheering her on, like she's super into it. You can tell that they're starting to build this bond, and like they're starting to influence each other in their lives. Oh my gosh, I just looked at my notes. I just realized that Tommy is her dad's name. Neil. Neil is the name of the douche. That makes so much more sense. I just kept calling him Tommy. Oh well. Then we get Molly destroying Neil's coat. Well, like she's actually trying to fix it because earlier in the montage she like burned the hell out of it. But finally Neil calls and he's like, I got the record deal because of you and because I put in a good hook, which is like, exactly. And she told you earlier in the film to do that, and you said no because you didn't want to be a sellout. But guess what? She's always right. And the hook is like literally about her. It's like, oh, Egyptian cotton, which is like the sheets that she gave him. So it's all because of her. And she like goes to meet up with him to give him the jacket, and he's like, oh my god, you destroyed my lucky jacket, blah blah blah. I mean, it looks nice, but like, girl, that was a bold move to do. That was a really bold move, and like I respect it and I get it, and they're trying to show she has like a design, an eye for design. That would have pissed me the hell off if she said I have your jacket and it was just like an unrecognizable jacket. I'd be like, now what the hell? Now what the hell? So Neil's like, I can't see you anymore. And she's like sticking her hands in her ears, like she still doesn't want to deal with things like an adult. And she's just like, I don't want to talk about it, blah blah blah. Honestly, I get it. After the regression, Molly is having tea with Ray, and Ray is like presumably heard everything that just happened, which like it's a little bit, it's a 2000s movie, so we let it slide, but like kind of like giving too much, a little inappropriate between a nanny and a child to be divulging this info. But anyway, Ray like wants to comfort, wants to give advice, and she's just like, other people always let you down, and like forget about them, like do what you're good at. And she's like, you're scared. And Molly's just like still unable to like handle what's going on. She's just like, you don't have fun. And like she's kind of like saying like, well, you're ignoring something too, girly. She's like, you gotta, there's, it's not all about like the little like rules and regulations and the fundamentals. Like you gotta have fun as well. And so she's like trying to get her to dance, and like she starts spinning her around in a circle, and Ray is just like fighting it. She is fully fighting it. They're both fighting themselves at this point. And so they break apart and they both fall, and it's just like a very clear representation of like neither of them are able to be fully how they want to be. Like they're fully just regressing into the people that they have been and like just are unwilling to change right now because it's just too complex for them to deal with and it's too much emotional baggage and they're just scared. And so they both get hurt. So Molly goes back home. She's with Ingrid. She's getting ready for a date. And Ingrid's like, wait, we have plans. We're going to get a tea tasting or whatever. And Molly's like, I can't do this. Like, you live like a way different life than me. Like, I don't want to live that life. I want to do this. And she's like, but we made a commitment. And Molly's like, no, you control my life. You love having control over me and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, girl, that's true. But also, like, you're kind of in a position in your life where she cares about you. She's trying to help you out, girl. Like, I get it. But, like, also, it was extreme. But anyway, so she leaves Ingrid's and she starts living with Huey. Not good. Not good. He's like such a bad influence of like, oh, like, let's go party and like, you should like make out with my friend. Like, that would be so funny. Ha ha ha. Girl, I hate it. Also, Huey is Donald Faison, and I'm sorry. That's my man's. I love him in Scrubs so much, and I can't look at him like this. At this party, Molly sees Ray's mom, and she's like, "Oh, hey girl, like what's up? Like how's your daughter doing?" And then the mom's like, "Oh yeah, I think she has like a recital today." And Molly's like, "Oh my god, she's at the recital, like she must be bugging, like she doesn't have anyone there, like she's worked so hard." And kind of like the mom is like, girl, don't even worry about it, like it's fine, like she's fine, she doesn't care. And Molly's like, no, like she cares a lot about this. And it's like so evident that the mom just like does not like Ray, her child, is like the least of her concerns, and like she just does not value this little girl. And so Brittany is like, Brittany, Molly is sort of realizing that she is the only person in Ray's life who actually like cares, and she starts to feel like a responsibility for her, and she wants to be that person in Ray's life, that role model, that person that is like a safe person for her. And so the next day she comes in and Ray is like pretending to be sick, and she's like, you don't even need to be here, it's your day off. And Molly's like, well, no, like I'm here for you and you're not sick and let's do something fun. So they go to Coney Island and Ray is like acting like all, middle-aged woman, like she's not phased. And Molly's like, no, you're so psyched to be going to Coney Island. You're so psyched to be having fun and going on the teacups. Like, admit it. Say you're psyched. And she's like, I'm psyched. Okay, I'm psyched. Girl, she's so me. She's so me. And it's so real. I feel the kinship. Hey, girly. When they get there, even, she convinces Ray to eat a hot dog, which is like something that Ray never would have done. It's like nasty, disgusting. Honestly, same. Real. But she gets her to do it, and she like pays the toll to go and get and have fun in Coney Island. And then unfortunately, they're a week early. Like Molly is still a little too flighty to do actual real planning. And so she ends up disappointing Ray because they're not able to go on the teacups. It's just like another moment where Ray is just like being let down by a parental figure. So Molly is kind of like trying to open up more to Ray and like show her that it's okay to be vulnerable and emotional. And she starts talking about the last moments that she had with her parents and how she didn't end up seeing them off when they left because she was upset. And Ray is like, well, when you're mad, you don't miss people, so it's good that you were mad. And Molly just reaches out to her and she's like, I wasn't mad, I was scared. And she's thinking, she's so confused being a child. And that's kind of just like been constant throughout her life. She's scared. She doesn't know what to do without her parents. They were such big forces in her life. And so she says, like, she thinks that Ray is scared too, and that she wanted to go on the teacups together because she felt like if they went together, it would be this moment of like great significance for them, like that they could break through something in their journeys and like kind of figure something out together. And she kind of just like falls into Ray's arms, and like Ray ends up being like in this caretaker role again, which is something that she's always in. She's an 8-year-old girl, and she's always put into this position of like taking care of other people's emotions. And it's definitely not something that Ray is expected to do, but she does kind of like take care of people's emotions in terms of like she doesn't ever really express her own emotions to other people. She kind of compartmentalizes that. And like in that way, she takes care of her mom in terms of like she doesn't say how in pain she is, or, you know, she doesn't talk to her dad. And so, like, in this moment, she doesn't really know how to be there for Molly, but she kind of just like pats her and like lets her cry it out, you know, and have that moment of vulnerability. And I think that was definitely like a lot of progress for Ray. And then the next morning, who the hell is in the fucking kitchen but Neil? Yeah, he slept over with the mother. Crazy, disgusting, gross. I hate him. I hate him. He's so gross, nasty. Why is he the love interest in this? Why is there a love interest in this? I don't know. I don't know. There didn't need to be one. So like Molly is out here like, okay, I gotta go. This is so weird. And she like goes and she like keeps seeing like these families, this like dad and daughter kind of dynamic, or like sister, daughter, mother, daughter, like all around her in the park. And she just is like, you know what? I'm gonna jump. Okay, girl, same, me too. But she chooses to jump into the Central Park pond lake. Nasty. I wouldn't jump into any body of water surrounding the island of New York. Yeah, I'm saying it. I'm saying it. Slander onto New York. Yeah, LA West Coast beef is real. It's real, and I'm saying nasty, disgusting. She is chest deep in this nasty ass lake water. Me with my contamination OCD, I'm just like, I'm going crazy. Like, if that was me, I would die. And she's just like chest deep in the lake, like NBD. And then this lady's like, you gotta get out of there. It's nasty, disgusting. And she's like, oh yeah, like that's so right. And then she's walking through and she plunges underneath again. Oh, no, hate that, hate that. Boo, nasty. So she ends up getting sick, of course. This gives Ray a chance to like be a caretaker in a way that's more comfortable for her, like a little more distance and like a little more like specificity and like less emotional attachment, like directly. So she's taking care of her, and Molly takes this chance to be like, you know, you should reach out to your dad. I know that he's in a coma right now, and I know that you really care about him and you don't want to think about that, but it might actually help him. Ray does that, and she reads him a story, and it's really sweet. So Huey and Molly are just hanging out. They're watching Ray's new music video because Huey has a vested interest in him, obviously. And she sees that he is wearing her jacket. Damn. I hate this man. Every single thing he does, I hate him. Every single thing. He could do nothing, and I would still hate him. Anyway, Molly's pig gets sent back to her, and she's immediately like, something bad happened. I think she got like a note or something, I'm not sure. But she goes to Ray, and she immediately knows her dad has died. And Ray doesn't want to talk to her. She like sends her away, and she's clearly blaming herself, but she's using Molly as a scapegoat because Molly told her to go reach out to her dad. And she's just kind of like reverted back to this like robotic like version of herself that just like she's shutting off her feelings, she's shutting off her childish emotions because it's just easier than being a kid and having this vulnerability. And Molly's like in this meeting with her mom getting fired. And she's like, well, can you even tell me why I'm getting fired? And her mom has no idea. And Molly just kind of was like, well, you're like a horrible mom. You don't know anything about this little girl, and you're saying that she's doing okay, but she's not, and blah, blah, blah. And it like really offends the mom, blah, 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 of course. And then this bitch Neil is outside and he's like, please take me back. You're my muse. I love you. I can't do anything without you. Oh my, I hate him. Oh, I only love you when it's convenient for me. But luckily, she does not fall into this trap. She is like, I'm done with you. You are so selfish. You need to work on yourself. Like, please get out of my face. And she just reads him. And she actually finally like puts her father's guitar collection up for sale. You know, she's trying to put her life together. She's trying to be independent. She's trying to be mature now because this was just such a shock for her. This was like such a paradigm change that she just kind of like has to figure it out. And even though there's so much sentimental value, she just has to do it. And unfortunately, it was not a huge like showing out. It was kind of like depressing for her to see, but luckily someone did buy the entire collection, which was nice. But with the money, she's able to buy an apartment. While Molly's showing Huey the apartment, they get a call from Ray's mom, and she's like, do you know where Ray is? Did she come to see you? And Molly's like, no, why? And her mom's like, well, she's missing. And even though Molly really doesn't have to help, she doesn't have to do anything, they kind of unceremoniously just like kicked her out without even kind of like trying to understand what was going on. She drops everything. She goes to find Ray. She knows exactly where Ray is. Ray is at Coney Island. She's at the Teacups. And she's having a horrible time. I mean, her dad just died. And her mom is like, well, she's so together. She can handle it. She can do everything. But it's like, no, she cannot. She is a child and her dad just died. And you're not comforting her. So this is the scene that everybody is probably familiar with where Molly gets on the Teacups and her and Ray spin. And it is literally exactly what she was saying, what she wanted to happen, where if they both go on this together, they're going to come off changed. And they're just looking at each other, looking into each other's eyes, seeing the parallels of themselves in each other. And it's this really poignant moment. It's really beautiful. And kind of heartbreaking in a way. After the Teacups, Ray is puking and Molly is just like patting her on the back. She's there for her. And when Ray's finally able to like come up for air, she slaps Molly. And it's kind of like a callback to the first time that she flipped Molly off and Molly grabbed her hand, and she isn't backing down from her. She's not going to let her use her violence as a way to push away her emotions. She's going to let her express herself to her fullest, but she's not going to let her exact pain on other people so that she won't feel as in pain. And so, you know, Ray punches her in the stomach for a couple of moments, but then she like collapses into her arms because, yeah, Molly is the person that's been there for Ray. She is that comforting person, and Ray can finally realize that and start to move past her blocks of being trying to act invulnerable and trying to act standoffish to protect herself. So Molly gets invited to the funeral. Throughout the funeral, there's like a bunch of people who are in the music industry all coming up to Molly, and they're just like asking her like, hey, I saw you designed fucking Neil's coat. I really want you to design clothes for me. And she's like, no, like, I don't want to. And then they're like, girl, you should. This is what you're good at, Molly. Like, realize that. Take pride in that. Like, think about what Ray said earlier of like, focus on what makes you happy and focus on what you do the best. So she ends up saying yes to a couple of those people and breaking away and talking to Ray. And Ray is kind of like, you know, you could come back and be my nanny. And she's like, I don't think so. I think we should just be friends. And Ray is like, well, adults are never friends with kids, kind of like having that pessimistic mindset still from before. And Molly's like, I don't see any adults around here. Just echoing something that Ray said earlier. And Ray looks back at her and she's like, I do. And it's like this just really sweet moment of like finally recognizing that she is an adult, she is independent, she has a future, and she can do it all by herself. And it's really bittersweet, but it's also like a hopeful moment. And then we see Molly interviewing for fashion school. She doesn't want to just coast by on her dad's name and like rudimentary things. She wants to learn the fundamentals, which is something, again, that she learned from Ray. She wants to have the knowledge to be able to do these things and feel confident in what she's putting out. And then she gets to go to Ray's recital, where Ray is wearing one of her designs, and her mom is finally there for Ray. And it's really sweet, where people are finally recognizing, like, this isn't just like a put together person. This is a little girl. She needs people that will support her, she needs a parent around. And Ray does this really, really sweet tribute to Molly. And she gets. Now, I hate this. Boo, nasty, corny loser, Neil, comes out and he sings Molly's song that her dad sang for her. And he comes out with all of Molly's dad's guitars, which is objectively sweet, yes. But it's really all about Ray. Ray did this as a tribute to Molly, as a tribute to the kinship that they have, their love for their fathers. And it's a little dance that she's clearly the one that put together and like taught all of these other little ballerinas. And she's kind of like teaching them how to use a guitar, and like it's very much like a learning how to like grow up and like, but also learning how to have fun, because she's out there and she's like, letting her hair loose. She pulls it out of the pony and she lets her hair down. Feel the rain on your skin. She's feeling it. And it's just really sweet because they're both like each other's dads. Can we be each other's dads? Can we be each other's dads? Can I be your dad? Okay, really, really frustrating news for me. I was editing this video and the whole last part is missing. I didn't really have much to say after the last part that I recorded, but I did have like a little final wrap-up closer that I just wanted to say. I think it's just a really heartwarming story about growing up and grief, and I think it treats the characters with a lot of nuance and respect, and it's just like a really special and underrated movie that I just really hope that you guys go and watch. And I love these themes of found family and the connection with these girls, and like the parallels, the mirroring that they see in each other with their grief. And it's really just truly a gift to have Brittany Murphy in this movie. It's just a really wonderful, special movie, and I really think that everyone should see it at least once. All right, well, that's the end of the video. I'm hoping to make some more of this kind of video. I have a couple of movies in mind, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. And if you're not having a good day today, I hope tomorrow is better. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.